Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I am your host, Corey Peterson. I am so blessed and excited that you are here today, my friends. I have an awesome podcast for you. I've got a good buddy, Randy Lawrence. I've known him for a long time. He's going to drop some truth bombs, okay? It is Juicy Couture, the podcast that's coming up. You're going to really like it. So, just stay tuned because it's going to be amazing. Before we get started, though, I got to give out a big shout out to Billy Murphy. Billy Murphy went and took the time, and I know it takes a little time to do this, but he took the time to go on to iTunes and give me a 5-star review, and I've got to read it because it is pretty cool. It's actually kind of long, but so here we go. Billy Murphy says, I recently got back into the multifamily game after a few-year hiatus from real estate investing altogether, and I was searching for a good multifamily podcast to start listening to. This podcast was the first one I was drawn to because of the few of the episode titles, and once I started listening, I knew it was the only one I needed to listen to. Corey's mentor, Dave, is also the same person I originally learned multifamily investing from, and I'd even met one of his guests on this podcast at one of Dave's events a few years ago. If you want to learn about multifamily investing from the beginning, or just want to get a refresher on things to get you back in the game, this podcast is the only one you need to listen to. Thanks for doing this podcast, Corey, and looking forward to meeting you in the near future. Dude, Billy, I just want to tell you, thanks so much. Listen, I had a dream 2 years ago. I really did. And I told myself, I felt like it was time to give back. And I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but I knew that a podcast would be a part of it, and it would be a great platform to share the message. And so I'm glad that resonates with you. And for anybody else that this thing really resonates, if I'm touching your heart, your mind, your soul, if I'm making you some profits, if you're getting some good tidbits, chime in. Don't be a stranger. We all want to know who you are. And how you do that is you go onto iTunes. It takes a while to get there, and leave that 5-star review because it does mean a lot. The last thing, and I say it almost every episode, I actually do say it every episode, is to get my quick start workshop video series at kahunawealthbuilders.com if you've not. So that's coming up. I think by the time this podcast will go live, we will actually be ready for the Kahuna calculator. And so here, I'm not even ready. Let me pause for a second. Also, I am excited to finally announce that the Kahuna Cash Flow Calculator is now available. It's live, okay? To get the calculator and all the training on how to use this really amazing tool, go to Kahuna Cash Flow Calculator.com, and it's $199 for the tool, and you're going to really like it. I'm going to put a lot of time. We've been beta testing this. We've worked out all the bugs and the kinks, and the training on it is amazing. And so you can go there. We'll have a little behind-the-scenes look so you can see what it does and see if it's for you. But I'm telling you what, I'm pretty proud of it, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So with that said, get ready because Randy Lawrence is going to just really shed some light on this thing called multifamily investing. He's got a unique story in that, he really started in the multifamily. He started actually just like I did as a financial advisor, and but his first thought was the multifamily. And somehow, just like a lot of us, we kind of lose our way. And but he came back into the multifamily space and is loving it. He's killing it. He's having a great time. So get ready, guys, because this is a great podcast, and it starts now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I am so excited because I have a wonderful guest today, and he is someone that I've known in my collective genius group, and he's got an amazing story. He's been investing for over 15 years, and he started off as a single family investor, and but more importantly is this guy's heart. Randy is a preacher, and has put God in his life, and really just structured, I think, his whole business around that, and really just put, making sure that the first things first. But Randy has an amazing story, and so Randy, welcome to the show, brother.
Awesome, brother. Good to see you, man. It's great to connect and be a part of the show, man. So glad to be here, brother.
Cool. So we were just talking a little before we came on and started this thing live, but just kind of your backstory and where you started. So I'm just going to let you open that up and tell us about yourself, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate it, brother. Well, like you said, I've been doing real estate 15 years. Prior to that, in my previous life, I was a asset manager, stockbroker, registered investment advisor. Got out of that, transitioned over to real estate, and my original mentors in real estate is a local family here in Florida. They probably had several thousand doors on multifamily. So we got started kind of focused on small multis and stuff. And that was '03 to '05. But again, it was like crazy white hot market here in Florida. And so very tough to, cobble together deals at that time. And, was not doing bigger stuff, but smaller stuff. Because again, just starting out, it was a little bit more of a challenge. And so we kind of transitioned into single family homes because that's kind of when the flipping craze was going on, here in Florida. And so kind of stuck with that and ran with that really through the last, 10, 12 years up until, you and I were talking probably in 13 about multifamily. We were still, doing the single family business. We still have that business kind of going, but really it was that focus of like, hey, I started off looking at multifamily. We've been doing single family. I've learned a tremendous amount about real estate. I want to focus on really making that transition back to what the original focal point was.
So Randy, I remember us having those conversations, right? This is right when I first came into Collective Genius, and I came in to that group as a guy that was doing multifamily. And actually I learned the wholesale business in Collective Genius, but
oh wow,
because that was something that I still needed. I still needed a little bit more income when I first got into the group, to supplement what my apartments were not cranking out. But and then all of a sudden they as we kept on raising rents, they started doing really well. Yeah, and I got recharged and refocused as well. But I remember us having that conversation, and it's funny how things work because, man, because that was your passion in the beginning. That was your vision.
For sure.
And I see this, I think this is now, I know this is the charge of my podcast.
Yeah.
Partly so, is to take two groups of people, and I call them the working professionals, the ones that are just tired of the JOB, and want to get out. The multifamily route just is so much better because it focuses on cash flow. Yeah. But for the same reason for me and you is that it helped refocus you, because so many times it is easy to get caught in that trap.
Oh, for sure.
Of the fix and flip money, that quick instant gratification of, hey, I flipped this property, I made some money.
Yeah, for sure. And it is, I think a lot of times people get into real estate because of that. It's like, I need to make money, I need to make it quick. And so either the wholesaling or the fix and flip really provides that that payday right now. And that really had been part of why we did it, because of the need to transition money, because I sold my practice of money management. And so that income stream went away or decreased pretty significantly. And we didn't have enough cash flow rents to offset that. And that's where the fix and flip came into play. Now, again, our business now is really dialed in on the fix and flip side.
Yes.
5, 6 employees, systems orientation, running and cranking, and we're fixing to hire an operations manager, so that frees me up even more. But set up a private equity company several years back, and then also the management company, with the intention of developing the multifamily, just like we've done with the single family, really scale out to probably our plan is mapped out to own 20 complexes.
So and what's funny is our backgrounds are so similar, because I don't know if you knew this, but I've had my Series 7 and 66 as well. right?
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I worked for Edward Jones,
Okay. Yeah,
and
for
I was a
sure.
financial advisor up until 2007 or 8 when the
Wow.
market crashed.
That's crazy.
I got canned.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
because
Market correction. Yeah.
dude, yeah, when everybody was coming in crying, my heart left that business like
Ah, you know,
immediately,
yeah,
and
it's
the
the, you
numbers
know,
were
the,
down, and I got canned.
that's
But
wild. The thing that I saw too, and I've shared this with folks too, is that even with part of the reason selling, and I sold my business in 2006 to the other partners, uh,
smart,
but this realistically looking at the power of what real estate can do. When you look across the board, all asset classes, stocks, bonds, just REITs, even that the real estate market and done properly, as you or I do, or as you're teaching and I'm teaching, that it really can make just a tremendous difference because of the return you get versus the beta adjusted risk, which you understand that maybe people listening may not grab a hold of it as much, but it really is powerful. And
no,
so
it is, and so this I'm loving it. See, I didn't know I know that you never heard that part of my background, so this
I
is
didn't
awesome
know. Yeah.
because I mean I'm, and here's what's crazy is let's talk about this because how much money is there out there really, right?
Yeah.
It's
Ton.
a ginormous amount of money
Oh my God. You can't even put your handle around it really.
because, and I think this is for people that have not been in that financial world, right? Like we have,
Yeah.
um, they look around their immediate surroundings like I don't know anybody with any money, right?
Yeah.
Or I kind of know like one or two some people with money, but the reality is there is so much money out there,
For sure.
and and they call it cash flow for a reason. It
Yeah.
flows out of the people that can't handle it,
Yeah.
and it flows into people that can.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It
And when
is.
like what you just said about the apartments, and once you understand and how to become a good operator and the multiples of what you can do with that capital,
Yeah.
you
Huge.
become a source for capital.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's where like I just had somebody, the thing that hit me probably about 3 years ago, and this also was a driver for me to really revisit the multifamily. One of the folks that have been a private investor with us for 15 years, she came to me and she said, "Man, I just want to thank you so much for helping me." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And again, we make money when people are investing with us, no doubt. They're making a great return. But she went on to say, I've invested with you now, and it was back then like 13 years. And during the downturn, my business was down, and the money I made with you helped buoy my business. And then it's put both of my kids through college. And then she said, and now I'm approaching 55, and I'm able to retire off of the money I make with you. And I just sold she had a commercial plaza in business. She sold that, invested the money with us. She said that with those monies, I'm able to now retire at 55 and take care of my elderly mom. And she said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. And it was like that light bulb went off, like, wow, God just hit me, like how powerful it is because we're providing an avenue for people to get a return that they otherwise wouldn't get because of the specialized skill, knowledge, and abilities that we've developed. And so that was, for me, it was like, wow, it was like a mission or a crusade. I want to help more people experience that kind of return versus just maybe throwing their market in money in the market and then it's up and down. And
Yeah. Well, think about this, Randy. So, like we talked about, I can't remember what this is a while back, but I talk about it like,
Yeah.
what's out there. For most people, they're investing in the stock market, right?
Yeah.
That's the really only options. They're going to a broker, their Fidelity accounts, or Merrill Lynch, or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And all they can buy there are certain things that broker's selling.
Yeah.
So it's usually either insurance products, a combination, or mutual funds,
Yep.
stocks, bonds, and REITs, or some other like EFTs and things like that. But when you think of like what provides a nice stream of income, right? You've logged in from okay. Hold on. What else? What's out there in the marketplace, right? I
Yeah.
can't think of that pays a good yield, right?
No. Yeah.
I mean, what is it? A CD pays crap, right?
Yeah, total crap. And then even now dividend stocks are down at, 3% dividend. And then there's still the volatility of the principal up and down.
Yep,
You-
that's a roller coaster. And most people wouldn't put their safe money in that,
no,
right?
for sure.
Especially towards retirement, right? So,
No,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking about your girl that says, "Hey, I'm getting ready to retire." What
yeah,
she really wants is a nice income stream, is
for
what she's
sure.
saying,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
And you're
absolutely.
giving and you're providing, and this is the one thing I love about apartments because now we pay quarterly. I don't know if you pay quarterly or monthly,
Quarterly.
but
Yeah, quarterly. Yep,
yeah, that provides a nice steady paycheck for them, and that's
for
the money
sure.
they live off to pay their bills.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that money is greatly more far superior, I think, what we pay than anything out there available in the stock market as an income stream
Absolutely.
provider.
Yeah. I mean, like, so it's usually can be double or triple what that dividend stock is paying because those dividend stocks are maybe 2 or 3%
Yes,
for a conservative type stock. And then on top of that, you've got the fixed security of the real asset of all these apartments and all these buildings and all these resources there that secure that
it's a
investment.
machine.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is. And so that's where, I mean, that's kind of all of that hit me back then when she said that to me. I was out for a run on the beach and it was just like, you know what? I don't want to flip so many houses. I want to help more people. And really the pathway to do that is through the larger scale of the multifamily.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, Randy. So, y the reason for that is because when a single family flip, that's going to be one investor,
Yeah,
and or maybe two, a first and a second or whatever, but mainly just one investor, and you can only, I mean, how many flips do you do in a month? That's hard to like,
sure.
and then how many for a year?
Yeah.
Like, what
I
does that
mean,
look like?
yeah, so for us, we probably have scaled up now. This year, we'll probably do between 60 to 75, depending. And that's, we've
That's
continued.
smoking, bro. That's
That
like
is,
that's
that's a
good.
lot. That's a lot, I mean, but again, we've got, 5 employees, hiring one more, systems that run it. It still, though, has worked for me because,
And that's great, right?
yeah, for sure. And, the good thing on that side is it provides value to our employees and it provides value to the people we help in buying their houses and all that. But
Yep.
there's a limitation for the amount of investors that we can work with. Even with that volume, I mean,
And that's
really,
crazy good volume. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
yeah,
You're operating at an elite level.
for sure.
I know this because you're in my collective genius group,
Exactly.
and I know who you are,
Yeah.
right? But like, so that doesn't happen overnight. Most people,
No.
if they did one a month, that's a good
Yeah,
volume,
for
right?
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But like, you're doing multiples now. On the flip side, the apartments do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like,
You can
so,
do one deal or two deals a year, and you're like,
yeah, huge difference. I mean, like, so we just had a complex we were best and final in. It was $11.5 million purchase, $3 million raise, probably about a $750,000 renovation improvement plan. So we got beat out by another group that was just willing to pay more, take a lesser return. But in that example, there's $3 million for people to participate in. And then now those investors are invested with us in that. And one, it's helped more people on the investor side. And then they're getting that, stable quarterly dividend plus the kicker on the back end that comes just with the growth of the complex or whatnot. And then, like you just said, we can then now do another complex. Let's say if the numbers are the same, that's another $3 million where we can help additional investors participate in that kind of return.
yep. And so here's my goal. Like, in my mind, I think about, okay, so like when I was doing single family flips, and I didn't do that as much volume as you're doing now, but I mean, I was doing a decent amount where I had maybe $2 or $3 million kind of working and turning.
Yep.
Um, but now then I go to the multifamily side, and we can have between a $3 and $5 million raise,
Yeah.
and we'll do if we can do that. In my mind, I'm trying now. It's hard to find the deals, right? Because
Yeah.
like understand where we're at in the economy right now. It is very tight, and it's across the board.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's still opportunities because even with your
Sure.
single family business, you still like when
You
you know
still
how to
find-
fish, you go
Absolutely.
find deals, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the multifamily side, but you just don't have to catch as many,
That's
right?
true.
Because if I can do a deal a quarter, in my mind, that's like a nice pace for me.
It's huge. Yeah.
And
That's
so
great.
this year we're trying to be on track to buy 5 deals.
That's great.
We may not if we only bought 3, I'm still happy as all
For
get out.
sure. Absolutely.
And that will probably be about 12 to $15 million of capital. And
Yeah.
dude, like you just said, that's a lot of people to help.
For sure. That's super exciting. I mean, I just had another person that came to me that had inherited funds, and they've got like $1.2 million that they want to invest, and so it's like what you said in the beginning, there's people out there that need that help,
Now,
and
let's talk about this real quick. How do you go about raising capital? How have you how give me how you started in the single family business, and
yeah,
then how you maybe transitioned that to multi, because you just started transitioning to the multi side again,
for
and that's a
sure.
great story.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, we started off with developing a program, even when it was like the very beginning, with the single family homes. It's like, okay, here's what I can afford to pay. Here's the terms that I'm going to offer. So it was less like, I'm just kind of walking around saying, hey, who's got some money for me? But more of me presenting an opportunity for somebody to get a return. you know
Yes.
and so that's where I think it gave us a significant advantage, maybe from other people that kind of stumble around or go hat in hand looking for money. We're presenting that opportunity. So in the very beginning, as we started flipping houses, I knew that that was possible because I borrowed money from a friend of mine that was a hard money lender. And, we're, good Lord, I think at the time paid him maybe 12 and 3 or something like that. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so I'm like, well, good Lord, I need to get this money cheaper, because paying 3 points, I'm giving him $4,000 just in points. And
Yeah.
so that's where at that time I developed that program, set the interest rate, set the terms, said to people, look, this is the opportunity. And I just began talking with people about it in a consistent and purposeful way, and so
Oh, time out, man. Hold on. I got to restate that for everybody just that's listening, because that's gold, by the way. Like, listen, you kind of did it out of necessity, because in your mind you're like, hey, dude, I'm paying lots of points, and I love this private lender, but if I can get around just the points in itself and maybe make the terms a little nicer,
sure.
favorable for me, that's a win. And so you said, hey, I'm going to create kind of a program, or a way that I can structure my stuff and be very consistent. And then you're there with like more of a packet saying, hey, here's the opportunity that we have.
Exactly. Yeah.
And see, that's different than, like, that's fishing. You throw out some bait, right? And the right people are attracted to your bait,
Yeah,
and the wrong
absolutely.
people don't ever come, right?
For sure. Yeah. And there's realistically in that process, there's plenty of people that I talked to that said, it's not for me. Or they wanted, like a high level business owner guys like, I really want to get 18%, or, I'm like, well, that's not my program. So there's plenty of people that it didn't fit for, but there's plenty of people probably to the tune of, $3.5 million that it did fit for, and
Yes.
so that's where, just like you said with fishing, yeah, there's plenty of fish that will swim by. It's not for them, but there's plenty out there that will be like, what, this is exactly what I've been looking for.
This is the exact bait that I want, right?
The very first person, and this person's been with me for, like I said, now 15 years. We were at a church retreat down in the Keys on a dive trip thing, and I'm the leader of the whole trip. And we're talking, just sitting around the fire, hanging out, on the beach. And I'm sharing about some stuff that I'm fixing to close, sharing about what we're doing. And that opportunity came up, and bam, this person had just been thinking about that and said, somebody else mentioned that to me, and I didn't feel comfortable with them, but wow, that's incredible that you have this kind of thing. I'd love to do that. And now that person is the story I shared, that they've been with me 15 years and it changed their life. But so it's like that's on a church dive trip, right? So by being
Yes, dude.
thoughtful and purposeful and having it put together, you'd be surprised, for those of you listening, where that money is. It's all around you, like Corey said.
Friends and family. So I always, people challenge me on this, like, Corey, I have no friends and family to have any money.
Yeah,
And I said, listen, it's not even about those people, it's about who they know, right?
exactly.
And because you never know, you could be like one or two steps away. Like, were you in my collective genius room?
Not no,
No,
not this
gosh.
group.
So
No.
there was a really great share, and it was like it was this. They were talking about LinkedIn, right, and how
Yeah.
like your one or two contacts from your second connect and third connect from almost everybody that you'll ever meet, right,
Wow. Yeah.
or that you'll ever need to meet. And but the power of that, like so, and that's true in life, is that people know people that know people, and all you got
For
to do
sure.
is sometimes they're just one or two referrals away, and so and it all starts with just sharing, right? That little thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the transition with the multifamily, exact same thing. It's like, here's the opportunity we have. Here's what that looks like. And, here's the typical return. And then now people see that, we're talking about it. And then the result is people are responding to that.
Yeah,
And
and are you leading with that now, or do you just kind of say, "I've got two buckets. Like, here's a single family bucket and what it does, and
yeah,
here's my multifamily and what it does."
we really don't need any more money in the single family bucket. So we can take people in more as a courtesy, if you will. But
We'll
it's
give you
really
one deal on the single family side, but really just
the
so we can
focus is,
establish a
yeah,
relationship.
exactly. Yeah. Establish the relationship with a single family scenario, but then really the focus is the multifamily, because that's ultimately where we're going to scale, build, and grow.
Dude, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like
It's,
when I think about this story, Randy, because you just closed the deal. So let's just talk
yeah.
about the deal you just closed.
Yeah,
Like,
we closed on 84 units there in South Carolina, not too far from where you just sold a deal,
oh yeah, yeah,
Uh,
in Greenville, yeah.
yeah, right outside of Greenville. So that was back in November. We bought it for just under 3 million. Great complex, virtually 100% occupied. None of the interiors were updated. I mean, I personally like that value add component,
Yeah,
and where none of the interiors have been updated. Some of the stuff you look at, maybe half's already been done. You can do the second half, but I like
but it
being,
was still occupied though, right?
yeah, still occupied.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we just went through a tenant profile improvement process, as you know, where for December, January, February, March, kind of the slow pay bad tenants, things of that nature that are really not in line with where we're going. We're able to work through those, begin renovating, probably renovated about 5 or 6 units already. We're only going to do 2 to 3 a month because, again, we're at a 96% occupancy right now. So we want to maintain that. And it's
Strategic,
for sure very
right?
strategic. And that's something I think that's a key word, if folks that are listening, is you've got to be strategic. You've got to be thought through. And the best thing is being able to learn from somebody with experience, or really having that pathway laid out for you. Because unlike a single family flip, like, and this is, and really, I thank God for the time delays and all the learning I did in single family and some of the big giant projects we did, because I learned, and then also learning from experienced people in the multifamily too, helped me to become strategic, so that
Right.
if single family, you can buy this $150,000 house, screw up, the market will help you, and you don't lose your butt so badly, or you maybe make a couple of bucks. In the multifamily space, when you're buying for 3, 6, $10 million, and you're spending 500,000 or $1.5 million on renovation, you need to be strategic, and you don't want to screw up.
You want to have a plan for sure, right?
You gotta have a plan, man. And not only that, what you mentioned earlier too, like operations, you need to know, like, hey, the first 3 months, we're going to be working through a tenant profile. We're going to be changing some of those things up. We're going to be weeding out the bad and keeping the good. And, all those
occupancy is going to drop all of a sudden.
Yeah, occupancy is going to, like, for me, like, dude, like, I'm like, holy crap, we're down 89, 88. And I'm like, yeah, that's part of the plan.
Yeah, it's like ripping the Band-Aid. Sometimes like, because like, oh, this looks great. We're 90%, 99% occupied.
Yeah.
But 5% or 8% are not even paying. They're just living but not paying.
Yeah, or they're paying, at the end of the month, or screwing up the.
Yeah, and so like when you take over, you set the precedent right then. Like there is a new sheriff in town. There's new procedures, policies, and they either get with it or we start.
For sure.
They start getting evicted, right? There's an
that's
eviction
exactly.
process.
There was a number of people there that were just consistently paying, like on the 1st and the 20th, and that had to be corrected.
Yeah, or they'll come in and want a partial pay. Well, I got $400.
Yeah,
the wrong operators will say, "Oh, I'll take that $400." Well, once you take that $400, you are now saying that they can stay.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was a process. And again, simultaneously, we're working the outside, new paving, landscaping, pressure washing, cleaning everything up. So you can see visibly like the last 2 months, there's all this activity going on, improvements, new
Yeah, and your
sign.
tenants are noticing that too as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's part of the key. So they see, one, there's a new sheriff in town. Two, there's these more stringent focus on guideline operations. But three, there's also improvements that are happening.
Yes.
You know, and
Things are changing, and
for sure.
everybody wants to live in a great neighborhood, the best that they can
Absolutely.
afford.
Yeah. And the thing that I look at too, and I know you focus on the same thing, is like there is a genuine reality of being a better quality of life for the people that live there. I remember seeing one time on a Facebook post, somebody posting about one of your things like, well, gosh, how are they paying more rent? That's not better for them. But it's like, the truth is, it is a better overall quality of life. It is a better amenities. It is a better home to live in the apartment itself. And it's worth 650 versus 550 because it is an overall better quality of life. And
Yes.
so the tenants, their response is, hey, thank you so much for what you're doing
Every time.
place. Yeah. I mean, so that's just part of, and I think, the cool thing is really, it's a twofold focus. Like, one, the investors' lives are being changed because of the returns they get. And then the community and the residents' lives, they're being changed and improved as well. So super cool.
I mean, it feels good. This is why I love this business, right?
Yeah.
Just what you just said. It is so fun to have the opportunity to change my money's life, my life, and
Yeah.
tenant's life. It's like the
yeah.
trifecta. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, the other part of it, and I know you do this too, is the benefit that comes to the employees, because you take a hands-on role just like I do of mentoring, leadership, encouragement. I've seen some of your handwritten notes. It's like, that's the truth too. It's like that third element, that your team's life grows and improves as well. And they become not only better operators, but better people. And
yes, and they realize that it's just not always about the money, right? So
no,
and that's
for sure.
it's about the culture, right? And we've talked a lot about culture and collective genius of setting the tone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it starts with us as owners to set the tone. Even though you have multiple different properties, you got to have that base of here's what we do, and here's the why, and here's how we're gonna affect these communities, right?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
truly make them communities, because a lot of the ones that we buy are so mismanaged
Yeah.
that is a hodgepodge, right? And that's what I think we bring to the deals. We bring the active money to fix it and make it nice,
For sure.
clean it up, a refresh,
Yeah.
and then the management piece to make it systematized and we know what to expect. And people
Absolutely.
like order
For sure. Absolutely.
versus chaos.
It really does, bring about a total transformation. I mean, that's, and that's why the value has increased, because it's now a more valuable place, both economically and, physically on the human being side. People want to live there. It's more attractive to them. And so, I go back to like what we were talking about too with people in the raising money. It's like, when you're engaged in that process, you're offering a positive result, not only for the investors, but the value of the product, meaning the quality apartment complex. That's something that's attractive, so that not only are people getting a better return for their money, but it's a feel-good process too for them because of the results that are taking place.
Excuse me.
Bless
Sorry
you.
about that.
No problem. Yeah. So it's, and so for the person that maybe is getting started in that, like say they're connecting together to learn about multifamily and they're getting started, it's like, that is a value proposition that they're able to share with their friends and families and the people at church or the people at synagogue or the people at the country club. And if people say, well, hey, I'm not at a country club. Well, praise God, you can start getting involved in a number of different civic organizations for the purpose of serving, because our business really took off when we focused on helping people versus making money. I mean, that's the truth. And so again, that woman on the church dive trip, I wasn't on the church dive trip to raise money. I was there to serve people and provide them a spiritual experience and helping facilitate that through the dive trip and the Keys. And that was my motivation for being there. But
hey, next time you have a dive trip, call me. I would love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I would love to go on that, man.
Wow. Dude, my daughter and I just did a 7-day dive cruise last fall. Amazing. We had a blast. We're actually planning a trip to the Keys with a several group of people for a Keys dive trip. So
Let me know.
I,
I will fly. I want to be on that trip.
absolutely, brother.
Okay, so dude, now I want to make sure I time out on that because you just said another a key critical piece is really this is answers to where do I find money, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a lot closer than you think, and it's really just go find a charity that you really believe in, that
That's
you
key right
like
there.
because you
Yes.
want to be a part of it, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then just naturally things happen because usually that's business people or people with money have time money are
Sure.
usually the ones volunteering a lot of the times, not always,
Yeah.
right? But it's just find something that you like and then it naturally kind of happens a lot of times. You start, hey, what do you do? What do you do, Randy?
Yeah.
And like because when there's downtime we want most of us as business
Talk.
owners they want to talk about their business or what's going on and
Absolutely. Yeah.
that just
I
kind of
think,
happens.
and that's key though, too. What you hit is a super nail on the head is that it's got to be something that's congruent with you. Because if you go there with a duplicitous mindset, just like, hey, I'm going here to raise money, it's like that
Never work.
comes out, man. It doesn't work
Yeah.
because your intentions are the wrong intentions. It's like, and it's okay to have a desire to want to help people and connect with them financially. But the first value is just what you said. Hey, I believe in this charitable organization. I want to be a part of that because I believe in it.
Yep.
And then that congruency comes out and it's authentic, and it's just like for me on that dive trip as the example, I'm there authentically as a leader to help people grow spiritually. And I also have the fun of diving and all like that. And so that my motivations are pure. And so when I'm talking about what we're doing in the real estate investment, it really is
It's just a share.
it's just a share. Yeah, exactly. And then
Right.
that's where it's receptive.
And the
Like,
right
wow,
people self-select. Like she was like, "Hey,
yeah, boom.
I'm
Oh,
interested in that." But
I'd love to be a part of that. Let's talk about that when we get back. Call me, and so for sure. And that can be anything like, if it's, Boys and Girls Club or, whatever it may be of that charitable interest, there's going to be people involved with it. Or again, at a church, a synagogue, whatever.
I mean, I'm in Rotary, so I've met
Yeah.
so many people through Rotary.
Oh, for sure.
Rotarian.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
involved with Rotary for years way back, and it's great people, great organization. So there's a ton.
I mean, there's another. I was involved in this. It's called Friends of Mercy. It's my local hospital,
Mm,
and
yeah.
there's a charity foundation there, and we meet once a quarter and help. And here's the other key part of that stuff is when you find a charity like that you really like, don't just be on the sidelines,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Get in a leadership position of it,
for
right?
sure.
Because that really is where the magic happens. Take charge, like really give because you like it, and then get in leadership roles. And I feel like as a leader, if you're a leader, and you'll know if you are, because most of the people that want to be in entrepreneurship, a lot of times are just natural born leaders.
Yeah,
You're called to that. God calls us
for
to
sure.
lead and to share our talents and gifts. And I'm telling you, like don't be afraid of it. Go serve, and you'll serve because it'll help your heart for one,
Absolutely.
and then just there's nothing and the good Lord, I think He blesses that, man. He'll
Oh,
bless you,
For
and,
sure.
But you don't ever make it about the money. When you get that mindset, it'll
Yeah.
never work. It'll be a complete disaster.
For sure. No, I mean, and that's like in a genuine, honest way. In the flipping business, there was a point probably through 2008, 9-ish, that it really was focused on how much money can we make on this flip. And then, as the market crashed and we went through all that, I said, you know what, God, I need to be focused on how I can help people. And so we started a big short sale company, helped tons of people, get out from underneath their house. And then even from there, as we transitioned back to kind of more of equity houses, it was still focused on, how many people a year can I help, not just how much money can I make a year.
Yep.
And it really was dramatically different. And I know to some level it sounds cliche, even people listening, yeah, I get that. But it really is true. I mean,
I know. Hey,
it's
listen,
like insane.
I live in the same neighborhood that I've grew up. I mean, I don't want to say this, but I mean, I out earned my neighborhood by substantial, right?
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I hear my neighbors, right? It's just side talk, oh, Corey's always about the money. No, I'm a businessman. I'm very focused, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
And so I run my business like a business. Monday through Friday, I'm running it like a
For
business.
sure, man.
Right?
You're on it, brother. That's what you got to be. You know?
But I hear that side talk sometimes, um, but it can be farther from the truth, right? Because I
Yeah,
feel like I, I am, I am a full time dad. I go to my games. I don't miss. We go on great vacations, and
absolutely.
I also serve and I also give,
Yeah, for sure. I
and
mean,
it's a whole thing.
it's,
So it's not about the money. But
yeah,
if you're going to be in business
you got
to
to
make
make money
money,
for sure.
the
Yeah.
whole goal of the business and all the employees that you hire, like Sarah in the back, say
Yep.
hi, Harriet. Yep.
Hey,
Okay. My job is to make sure that the company is
for
profitable,
sure.
so I
Absolutely.
can hire and give her good pay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it is, you've got to make money. There's no doubt about that. But it's the money comes as a byproduct of the value that you deliver. And that's one of the things that I really had to learn. It's like, you know what, the more that I deliver value to help people, the more I'm economically enriched. And
Yep.
if I focus on delivering value, like even like say in the apartment complex, we want to deliver value to the residents. That's going to engender us to get better rents. We want to deliver value to the investors. That's going to engender more people to want to invest with us. And through that process, I'm going to be enriched. And so it took an honest, transformation of God working on me
Yeah.
to really kind of get a hold of that, not only just know it here, but to know it here and to believe it, so that then it's like, okay, hey, I'm good with that. Like that's
Uh-huh.
my mission, is to fulfill my God-given purpose and help people and deliver value through the channel of real estate.
Oh, amazing, bro. Love it. Hey,
Yeah.
so now, how do you find your deals? So we've talked about how you fund them, and you got your systems in place. But what
Yep.
are you doing right now to find deals?
Yeah, so we have done a lot of networking. I mean, that's been a focus for probably the last year and a half, connecting together with brokers, connecting together with the people that are involved in it, connecting together with third-party people that are, facilitators, management companies, funding companies, and really beginning to let them know of what we do, what our focus is. Like, for example, a friend of mine that's an owner of a company that's kind of a service provider to that field, talking with him just on Saturday. Because again, like, hey, my family's sleeping. They're still abed at like 9:30 on a sleep-in day. I'm up just because I'm like, boom, I'm up.
It's just what you do.
It's what I do. And so him and I are talking Saturday morning, like 9 o'clock. And I'm telling him, here's what the focus is. He's like, oh my God, dude, I've got several people I know that are interested in selling. And so, boom, he just connected us together with two properties that we're looking at. As soon as we're done here, we'll do some underwriting on. But so, again, that networking, consistent focus, positioning with the right people. And then we're going to start also with a focus of implementing some direct mail, but with a specific target and focus. But I think majority of results that we see right now, at least of deals coming to us, is through the networking, because
Yes.
that's the arena that you're dealing in this space.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a more sophisticated seller,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And so, a lot of my single family guys, oh, gee, direct mail, and I'm like, it's you can spend a lot of money, and
For
it's,
sure.
it's not my choice.
Yeah.
My mode of choice is relationships,
Yeah.
and so I focused on the brokers, right?
Absolutely.
I want the brokers. I want to know my brokers. I like what they like to do for fun.
Yeah.
I like to know, like, let's talk about if they play racquetball, if they scuba dive, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're going to talk about on the open. Like, when
For
we
sure.
call, we're talking about that first,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
And, dude, yeah.
that's key. And like, I think in a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's just part of the key right there. You've got to connect and develop relationship. And again, the reality is you're not doing it with a duplicitous mindset. You're looking at, hey, I want to develop a relationship with this person, because the multifamily business, it is a partnership relationship business. I mean,
Yeah.
I had to come to terms with that, because the single family side, it's always been my wife and I. Yes, we've had employees, but no partners and all that kind of stuff. But, people have a negative connotation sometimes about I heard partnerships
Yeah.
don't go well.
Yeah, let's talk about that for sure,
Yeah.
right?
And so that is a false belief system based on some evidence that a person is scripted, that's going to then hold them back. And I was almost that person. I had to, this business, it's not one designed to go it alone. You've got to have a quality team. You've got to have the people in place. You've got to be willing to develop those partnerships in order to really be successful, or even be successful at a higher level.
Right.
And so I
can't think of a deal that I'm in, Randy, that I don't have a partner in.
For sure. No, that's the nature of the business. But then learning how to structure partnerships, how to connect with the right people, how to put those deals together. That's so key, so that you are ensuring that you're with the right partners, not the wrong partners.
Yes. And that's called know thy operating agreement.
Yeah,
know
exactly.
Thy structure, know thy what everybody's roles are, right?
Yeah.
Clearly define those roles. At least that's what I've learned in my experience.
For sure. No, that's 100% spot on. It's like, and then key is, like you said, having it defined clearly up front, what that is, what that looks like. And then and even too, like our management company, we don't self-manage, we manage a third-party manager, but they're really a partner with us because of that relationship and the involvement. And so it's not just treated as kind of a one-off thing. It's like, oh, this is a development relationship that we're going to expand and grow over time and be mutually beneficial.
Because you're going to keep adding, you want to keep adding deals to the portfolio.
Absolutely.
And like this, and it's, man, in my mind, the whole thing about apartments, it's like the whole foundation is relationships.
For sure.
It's relationships with your money. It's relationships with the broker. It's relationships with your team. It's relationships with your partners.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want to solve life's problems with divorce, get everybody in the business to do apartments.
Yeah.
Because it's all about relationships. You're going to have to learn to do a lot more listening and sometimes a lot less talking, right?
Yeah.
And,
well, I think for me, as I reflect back on my experience, is I probably needed the, whatever it was, 12-year interim of growth personally to be able to be at a better place, to be able to handle those things, not just the relationship, but the whole arena of responsibility.
So what's the future look like? What's your why? Like, what's, you look over the next 5 years, because we've been in a season of single family stuff.
Yep.
What's the new vision look like?
Yeah. So for us, our goal is to close 3 complexes, 150 plus units per year for the next 5 years. And, so right now we're a little bit behind on where we want to be. Cause we've probably gone through maybe 15 deals, just underwriting, it's this part of the nature of the beast. To find the right one, you got to go through kiss a lot of frogs to find the prince, so to speak. You know what I mean? So we're underwriting, going through that. But that is our goal. We're setting up the business to scale for that purpose, and the capital. So our why is we want to, one, develop that legacy business for myself, the employees, and then also be able to empower the investors that are part of our group, and then really develop this to be a premier C-class operator. We're focused, like we're C-class, you know what I mean? Like that's it. That's the focus. Like, I had a guy shoot me an A-class property. I'm like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Just not what we're focused on.
Your role, right?
Absolutely. I had another guy say, "Hey, man, I've got a great development opportunity." I'm like, that's not what our focus is.
Yeah, I would, and I don't even know how to do it. I'm like, I get that all this stuff. Hey, what about this commercial thing? What about this a commercial storefront kind of thing? And I'm like, listen, all I know how to do is buy old stuff.
Yeah. Like
old apartments that have 2 problems with this bad, deferred maintenance and, bad management. Like, that's, I know how to fix those 2 things.
Yeah. That's where, and I think of like the book Think and Grow Rich. It's like you focus on that specialized knowledge and being able to have a specific plan of action, and that yields riches. That's the truth. So, by focusing on those things, and again, like, I think of the Gary Keller book, where it talks about the one thing, and it's like, you got to focus on one thing. And it's like, so that's what we're doing. I'm bringing in an operations manager for the single family side. Again, people have asked me, well, why don't you just stop doing that? It's like, well, the benefit that comes not only to me, but also my employees, it's really been a game changer for them. Economically and for their life and all like that.
Well, you don't even shut things down that are working. When you've got it set up as a business and a systems, you don't even need to shut it down. Why would you shut it down?
No, for sure. Absolutely. Just that's where we bring in that person. their role will be to handle those operations and also contribute to the development of the multifamily business, So
Dude,
it's exciting, man. I mean, the
that
next 5
is
years, and even more so, people say, well, we're in this cycle. The economy's expanded 8 years now. Yeah, there may be a little bit of an economic blip, and that'll also affect multifamily. But I'm also excited for that because, right, the harder it gets, the more people fall away because it's like people look for easy money, and like easy money is not the best for the long haul, right? And so that's where it's like, hey, I'm like, praise God, if it gets a little tougher, that's all the better because not everybody's got the discipline,
a
perseverance.
lot of people are
Damn,
gonna bail,
for
right?
sure. Yeah, just like the flipping deal, right? In 2008, 9, 10, everybody exited from that arena that wasn't a real focused operator. We stayed the course, came out on top, and the same thing will happen when we get this pullback and what effects it has on the multifamily space.
Yeah.
It will weed out some of the chafe. You know what I mean?
That means that, but one good point, because we're running up on like almost 45 minutes, so I want to kind of wrap it. But I want to ask, like, so what happens when the market corrects or whatever it is in your C-class buildings? How are you going to manage that? What are you afraid of?
Yeah. So what we're doing is, again, we go back to focus. We genuinely are focused on these kind of blue collar, solid type properties because then again, somebody that's paying, 700, 750 for a, nice quality 2-bedroom apartment that's a mechanic or works at Chili's, they need that kind of affordable place to live. So I've been less focused, like where deals have come to me where it's already upgraded and you're going to a premium upgrade. I'm like, that's not really what I want to focus on right now, because even once we have pushed that rent and improved the property at that 750 mark, we're still a hair under what maybe somebody else is.
Below any of those nice and all the pretty the new builds.
For sure. Absolutely.
Like, I always feel like there's going to be max exodus.
Yeah,
if
for
the
sure.
market does correct, and even if it's sharp, if you're renting, right, you're still a renter.
Yeah.
The first thing you're going to do is not move out of your place, or skip the rent there, or whatever it is, and you're going to try to move into what I call workforce housing.
Affordable, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, yeah. So it's like,
and that's what you do. Like,
absolutely, yeah. If they're paying $950, $1,000, they're going to see, can I get a place for $750 that's decent for me? You know what I mean?
And clean,
clean,
nice
safe,
looking, and ran very well.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's really for us. That's the discipline part of not going to the shiny object. Stay focused on what we are criterion. And then that way, when the market does experience that blip, we're cash flowing solid. We've got good property. Our rents are still doing well. Probably very similar to your focus and formula, just from us talking.
Yeah, I have it's the exact, almost the same, identical. Right, we buy working man's apartments. It's built in the 70s and 80s. C buildings. We would take a B building if it's the right location. But we wouldn't do anything more than that ever. Yeah. Right? Just not our forte.
For sure.
We do like the working man's apartment complex. We've niched a couple things into student housing. So I've done a couple student housing deals, and that's been good.
Yeah.
But our primary focus, most of our assets are the bread and butter, mom and pops, working man's variety. We call it, I don't know if there's a term for it, but we call it workforce housing. It's not Section 8, right? No. We don't allow Section 8.
Yeah.
We want to have great tenants and not that Section 8's bad. It's just not what we're good at.
It's not the focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go back. It makes me, just, you were saying, and I think about one of the guys that I was in partnership with in the money management business. He used to teach the financial stewardship classes at church, and he would, like, super conservative dude, right? A great guy, but he would always hammer on me this quote from the Bible: "The steady plotter leads the game." Right? So I'm a young gun and I'm looking to go move. He's like, the steady plotter leads the game, And the truth is, that was the truth. He's right. It's like it's not sexy, but it's going to gain massively over time, bro.
Amen, brother. It really is. Because I show people, like, when I put together my marketing packet, sometimes my investors look at it, they're like, ooh, that's it? I'm like, hold on. Let's I don't even want to show you any pictures of the building. Let me just show you the numbers. Right?
Yeah.
Let me get you to fall in love with the numbers, because that's the only thing that I truly fall in love with
Yeah.
is the numbers. And once I understand the numbers and I know what we can do,
Yeah.
then it financially makes sense at that point, right?
Yeah.
And the building, all the things that we're going to clean up and fix, but like a lot of times they don't. There's so many people that even in the multifamily space will over improve, and you don't
Yeah.
have to have granite. You don't have to have
Nah.
all this. It's not the single family. It just
Yeah.
needs to be clean, affordable, and consistent.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's,
So
and that's the thing. Again, it may not be sexy, but it's like, hey, I don't need to be sexy to be successful, right?
rock
It's
and
like
roll.
just
Dude.
steady moving forward and achieving the goals and the purpose that God's given us. And through that, for me, that's what's sexy. I tell that to my daughter. She's 13, so she's learning. And I'm like, we're sitting at our house looking out on the water. Just got back from, ski trip. And I'm like, that's sexy,
Yeah.
right? Being
Yeah.
able to experience the rewards of the discipline, that's what's enjoyable. I said the discipline of doing stuff day by day, that may not be so hot to trot, but it's the results that it produces over time.
Yeah.
You know.
And really, and for me, like this is all about the reason for multifamilies for me, it's all about friends and family, and
Yeah.
legacy, right? I think there's a lot of people out there. So if you could give any, like, we're gonna wrap this up. If you could
Yeah.
give any advice to not someone's new. So I have two, I call them avatars, but we'll
Yeah.
say the seasoned fix and flipper. What would you say to them right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for them that absolutely you want to take the steps forward to learn about the multifamily. Maybe that's where they're at. That's like, hey, I think I want to be involved in it, but I don't know. It's like you want to take that step to connect and learn, what does that look like? How can it fit into your strategy? Because I would say this, that it is a long-term legacy builder. I mean,
Yeah.
even with our business, the fix and flip, where it's cranking along as a business, that's not necessarily what I want to be doing 15 years from now
Yeah.
when I'm, 60 years old or whatever the case may be.
What's your best piece of multifamily advice?
To connect with the right people, develop the right relationships. What Corey said is so true, that having the right people around you, the right relationships, the right expertise is key. You don't want to make newbie mistakes in this arena that are going to cost you more than you're ever willing to pay. I can guarantee you that the relationships and the right expertise are worth every bit of investment of your time, money, and effort to develop, because the newbie mistakes are not going to be easily fixed.
Awesome. And so, Randy, man, hey, I want to first of all thank you. If people want to find and get a hold of you, how do they find Randy?
Yeah, they can connect with us. We've got a podcast as well, The Real Estate Preacher, or they can connect with us through our website, prosperitycapitalpartners.net.
Dude, listen, I'm so thankful. This has been a great show, dude. Sometimes, like, we just come across the right things, and I didn't even know that you were in the financial world.
That's crazy. We
Right?
never talked about that, like, of all the things, but that's wild, right?
Yeah. So,
That's
hey,
awesome.
listen, let me close this thing out. If you're out there and you want to learn more about the multifamily space, I've got a wonderful offer for you. Go to my quick start workshop. You're going to do that at kahunawealthbuilders.com and click on that thing, because I'll teach you how to raise all the private money you need and how to start finding those relationships with all the brokers that you're going to desire and want. Other than that, listen, remember, I closed out every podcast with this because I believe it's so important. The power of your mind, right? Don't be a victim of stinking thinking, right?
Amen.
Your mind is everything. It's the most powerful tool that you own and possess. And if you use it and put it to work, it will solve your problems and it'll make you a successful person, because your paradise is possible.
Amen. Awesome, brother. Awesome.
All right,
man.
thanks,
Great
dude.
to be on the show.